Imagine waking up one morning, looking out your hotel window in one of the most glamorous cities on the planet and seeing missiles lighting up the sky. Not in a movie, not in a simulation, in real life, in Dubai. The city that was supposed to be the ultimate safe haven, the city that was supposed to be the world's second safest place, the city where the world's billionaires park their money, where celebrities vacation, where dreamers build their future. That city was shaking. And for the first time in modern history, people who once said Dubai is the safest place on earth were reaching for their phones, calling their governments, and saying three words they never expected to say: "Get us out." This is not just a story about explosions and missile debris. This is a story about the shattering of an idea. The idea that somewhere in this chaotic world, one city had managed to stay above it all. One city had managed to be everyone's safe harbor in every storm. And now that idea, that carefully constructed illusion of permanent safety, may be cracking. So today, we're going to break it all down. What exactly happened in Dubai? Why is Iran targeting it? What does this mean for the 3.9 million Indians, the millions of expats, the investors and the dreamers who tied their futures to this desert city? And most importantly, is Dubai still safe, or has something changed forever? Let's start with what actually happened. On February 28, 2026, Iran launched one of the most dramatic retaliatory offensives the Middle East has seen in years. Following the killing of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei in a joint US-Israeli operation, Tehran unleashed a wave of missiles and drones across the Gulf. The UAE's Ministry of Defense confirmed that over 2 days, air defenses had to intercept 165 ballistic missiles, 2 cruise missiles, and more than 540 Iranian drones. 540 drones! Let that number sink in. Dubai's air defense system, bolstered by American and Israeli technology, performed remarkably. Over 90% of these threats were neutralized in the sky. But here's the problem that nobody is talking about loudly enough. When you shoot down a missile at high altitude over a densely packed city, the debris still has to land somewhere. And in Dubai's case, it landed on some of the most iconic and expensive real estate on the planet. The Fairmont Hotel on Palm Jumeirah, the man-made island that has become a global symbol of ultra-luxury living, caught fire from missile debris. Social media videos, before the UAE government cracked down on them, showed flames licking the iconic sail-shaped facade of the Burj Al Arab. Smoke was seen rising near the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. Dubai International Airport was damaged and 4 employees were injured. And perhaps most critically for the global economy, DP World was forced to suspend operations at Jebel Ali Port, the largest container port in the Middle East, which alone accounts for 36% of Dubai's entire GDP. As of the latest official figures, 3 people have been killed and 58 have been injured. But the human cost is almost secondary to the psychological blow that these images delivered to the world. Because this wasn't just an attack on buildings, this was an attack on a brand. For the past 2 decades, Dubai has spent hundreds of billions of dollars constructing not just skyscrapers and artificial islands, but an image. The image of a city that exists outside the chaos of the world, a city that welcomes everyone. Russians fleeing sanctions, Ukrainians fleeing war, Afghans fleeing the Taliban, Indians chasing tax efficiency. The moment Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, Russian wealthy flooded Dubai's real estate market. When Western sanctions hit, Dubai was there. When every other market wobbled, Dubai was the place you moved your money to. It was, as one expert put it, a safe haven for everybody.
And the entire economic architecture of Dubai was built on this single premise. Whatever happens in the world, we are neutral, we are stable, we are safe. Come here, park your money, build your future. That premise has now been tested in the most public and dramatic way possible. Now, why is Iran even targeting Dubai? This is a question worth understanding carefully. Iran's stated position, and this aligns with what military analysts are saying, is that Dubai is not the primary target. The primary targets are American military assets and infrastructure. The U.S. maintains significant military and logistical operations in the Gulf, and Iran's strategy has been to make the cost of supporting America's military campaign prohibitively expensive for Gulf states. Dubai's Jebel Ali Port, its airports, its communications infrastructure, Iran claims all of these have been used to support American military logistics and intelligence in the region. In Iran's calculation, hitting these soft targets sends a message to Gulf states: if you give America a base, you become a battlefield. This explains why Dubai suddenly found itself in the middle of a war it never asked to be part of. The UAE has historically tried to maintain diplomatic balance, maintaining ties with both the West and Iran. But when Iran interpreted Dubai's infrastructure as a logistical arm of American military power, that neutrality stopped protecting them. And what does this mean for the millions of people whose lives are centered in Dubai? Let's start with the Indian community, because the numbers are staggering. There are approximately 3.5 to 3.9 million Indians living and working in the UAE. This is the single largest expatriate community in the country. These are not all millionaires buying luxury villas. The vast majority are construction workers, nurses, engineers, teachers, shop owners, and service industry workers who have built their entire lives around Dubai's economic engine. In labor camps across the city, the mood has shifted dramatically. Several major construction projects have been suspended for safety reasons. Workers are stockpiling food. Supply chains are being disrupted. 84 students from Pune, India, who had traveled to Dubai on a study tour, were stranded in hotels when the UAE closed its airspace. Over 700 flights were canceled or delayed. Air India and Indigo saw their entire Gulf schedules collapse overnight. Thousands of Indian tourists found themselves sleeping at Dubai International Airport, waiting for any flight out. The Indian government confirmed it was monitoring the situation closely and had begun preparing evacuation plans if the situation escalated further. And then there are the celebrities and high-net-worth individuals who made Dubai their second home: cricketers, Bollywood stars, sports personalities like PV Sindhu, who were publicly appealing to the Indian government for assistance, or simply going silent on social media, afraid to post anything that might attract attention or violate Dubai's strict new information controls. Because here is something that deserves its own moment of attention. The UAE government has imposed a sweeping censorship policy around these attacks. Anyone who shares videos or images of missile impacts, fires, or debris on social media faces fines running into hundreds of thousands of dollars and immediate deportation. The government's message is clear: control the narrative, protect the brand. And to be fair, this is exactly what you would expect a government to do when its core economic asset, its image as a safe and stable city, is under attack. But censorship has a secondary effect. When people cannot trust official information, and when they can see the fires from their balconies but are forbidden to talking about them, the fear doesn't disappear. It grows, silently, in private messages, in whispered conversations, in the quiet decisions of investors who are now pausing before wiring money into Dubai's property market. And that brings us to the economic dimension, which is where the long-term consequences will really be felt. In 2025, Dubai's real estate market recorded its most extraordinary year ever. Approximately $187 billion in total sales across more than 215,000 individual transactions. Luxury properties were being snapped up by buyers from India, the UK, Russia, China, Pakistan, and across Europe. The market had been on a decade-long upward trajectory. Developers couldn't build fast enough. New projects were being announced every week.
That momentum has now hit a wall. Brokers across Dubai are reporting that potential buyers, particularly from India and other price-sensitive markets, have adopted a wait-and-see approach. Emaar Properties, Dubai's largest listed developer, saw its stock fall more than 4% in the days before the latest wave of attacks. Dubai's main equity index dropped 1.8%. Real estate analysts describe the mood as a pause, not a collapse, but a definite slowdown in new commitments and large purchases. JP Morgan's former chief strategist Marko Kolanovic warned that what is happening in the UAE could be catastrophic unless the conflict is resolved quickly. His reasoning was blunt. With 88% of residents being foreigners, with the economy deeply exposed to tourism, finance, aviation, and shipping, any prolonged disruption could send shockwaves not just through Dubai, but through global financial markets. The Jebel Ali Port situation alone is a global supply chain concern. Hundreds of ships near the Strait of Hormuz have reportedly frozen in place, unwilling to move until Iran clarifies whether it will attempt to close the vital choke point through which roughly 20% of the world's oil passes. If Iran makes that move, we are not just talking about Dubai's economy, we are talking about a global energy crisis. So where does this leave us? Is Dubai safe? Is it finished? Is this a blip or a rupture? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on how long this war lasts. Dubai's air defense system is genuinely sophisticated. Officials from the UAE government have made the point, correctly, that the sounds people are hearing are largely the sounds of interception, of their own defenses doing their job. The core business districts have not been directly hit. The government has maintained order, basic supplies are available, the city is still functioning. But the vulnerability has been exposed. For the first time, the world has seen that Dubai is not a floating island above the chaos of the Middle East. It is a city sitting on the edge of a very complicated and very dangerous region. And the brand that was built on the promise of absolute safety has now been forced to make a more complicated argument. We are safe enough. We are safer than the alternatives. Our defenses are strong. That is a harder sell than it used to be. For investors, the calculus has become more complex. Seasoned investors, as one analyst noted, often see moments like this as entry points after corrections, not exit signals. The structural appeal of Dubai, zero income tax, world-class infrastructure, strategic location between East and West, stable governance, English-friendly business environment, none of that has changed. What has changed is the risk premium that investors must now factor in. For the millions of ordinary workers and families who call Dubai home, the question is simpler and more urgent. Do I feel safe? Can I go to work tomorrow? Will my children be okay? Those are questions that no air defense system can fully answer. And for the city itself, this is an existential moment. Dubai has survived financial crises. The 2009 real estate crash nearly brought the emirate to its knees before Abu Dhabi stepped in with a bailout. It has survived regional conflicts before. It has survived COVID. It has always come back, sometimes stronger than before. But this time, the challenge is different, because the attack is not on Dubai's economy or its infrastructure or its market. The attack is on the core idea of Dubai. The idea that this city is different, that it stands apart, that its neutrality protects it, that your money, your family, your future are safer here than anywhere else on Earth. Whether Dubai can rebuild that idea, whether that idea was ever entirely true, is now the most important question hanging over one of the most remarkable cities the modern world has ever built. The sky above Dubai was once filled only with fireworks and the glittering lights of private jets. Today, it is also filled with something else, and the world is watching to see what comes next.